It's holiday week. We're wrapping. We're finishing up. It's the last day of the month.
It's hot.
It's hotter than 80s down here in Atlanta.
Except in the studio, it's a little cold.
It is pretty cold.
Because you like it cold in the studio.
I do, but I had to sport my my quarter zip, my Rollins weight quarter zip. All you in the chat, if you haven't figured it out yet, all you got to do to win one of these is pick the winner and put it in the chat of the World Cup.
The World Cup
That's all
winner.
you got to do.
Okay.
It's going to be over July 17th with the final in New York. Just pick the winner. If you get it right, you get one of these fancy dancy Rollins way quarter zips.
Who you going for here? Who are you pushing for?
Well, I'm pushing for Croatia. They're probably not going to win it, but they got to play Portugal in a couple days, so I think they're going to lose there. But
all right.
And I shared the experience that I had with these folks via an email. I went to a World Cup game. I'm not the greatest soccer fan in the world, but my son is, and my son has been to 6 World Cup games already.
That's amazing.
And he got the whole Croatia package. So he took me with him to Toronto, and it was electric.
Yeah.
I mean, just the city was alive, and it was one of the smaller stadiums they're holding these in. It's a true soccer stadium up there. They did it in. So like 45,000 people there. Yeah. The singing, the dancing, the chants, the drinking, the smoking. We were sitting next to this dude from Croatia, like right off the boat, right off the airplane.
Right.
And my man did not know that you were not allowed to smoke in these stadiums, and he didn't care.
Nobody was going to tell him anything.
And he hotboxed a couple pack of cigarettes the whole time during the game. He was so nervous. But
by the way, have you seen the stadium? I didn't mention this to you. Have you seen the stadium from Mexico?
The one in Monterey.
Yeah,
oh, that was
with the mountains in the background.
Unbelievable.
I don't know. That's a nice stadium. That's a really nice stadium.
That might be a bucket list.
Yeah, that
in fact,
is.
my son went to school down there, and he said that because he went to El Tech. He did a 6-month thing.
They should look it up. You should look it up. I mean, it's really
beautiful.
It's like it's got the open top, but then it's got these beautiful rolling mountains in the back. It's all green.
Yeah, they played one of those games last night. Was down there.
It was beautiful. But anyway,
incredible.
I'll stay patriotic. I'll push for the U.S. But my second team will be Argentina, only because I live there.
They're a favorite, right? I mean, you got Messi doing his last dance.
Okay.
Who we got? We got France, we got Brazil, all the front runners.
Yep.
Portugal,
Norway,
CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Is Norway still in? All right.
Norway's playing right now, I think.
All right.
I don't know. Somebody put a score in there. Does anybody know if they won or lost?
I was bummed out that the Scots went back home.
Yeah.
With their bagpipes.
So my son lives up in Boston, and he did that whole experience. He was there in Gillette with them. Yeah. And he was in the bars in downtown Boston. He said it was nuts. Yeah. He was rooting so hard for them to make it, but It
made me want to get a kilt. FYI. I just want to get a kilt.
I don't know if I want to see you in a kilt. Who else we got
Antoine Landry says.
Okay, so Norway won 2-1. Very good. Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank you. We were giving away these last time. Right? We had the contest.
Oh, the contest. That's right.
If you pick the winner of the NHL and you pick the winner of the NBA, you won one of these quarter zips. Well, 4 folks on this commercial broadcast last month made the correct decision.
Okay.
They picked both the Knicks and they picked the Carolina Hurricanes. And those 4 are
Carolina Hurricanes.
Mike Finkel from Al Western. And we talked about Mike Finkel
Pet Detective.
Pet Detective, yeah.
Mike Finkel.
So Mike was a winner. Paul Wetzel from Fox was a winner. Eric Howell, I think I saw him on the call from Clark. He's a winner. And Chris Weppert, the region manager up there in Waltham, is a winner.
Nice.
And we had one unidentified winner because they can't figure out how to change their iPad or the name on their. It was Fox, and we know they're from Fox.
They're from Fox,
and it's their iPhone, and it's CJWX9F. So, John Sutton, if you can track that winner down, we'd be happy to get them their quarter.
By the way,
zip.
Steve Abadi says, I think he meant Brazil, but he says Brazil.
Oh, Matt Whittington. Matt in the studio said it was me.
Zach Zywatko. Did I get that right, Matt? Nice. Zach, I got it right? Come on, just give me the beer shake here, man.
What have you been doing?
Right. Yeah, there he's got the beer.
Tell them about the 5,000 people you talked to in Columbus.
Oh, there were 5,000 people in Columbus I talked to. So we had to do, every year I do this thing for this company called Plexus, and it's usually 5,000 people. This year was 5,000 people. We do Columbus, Ohio. I think the largest crowd we've ever done was probably the MGM Grand, which is like 12,000 people. By the way, who's the singer from Hootie and the Blowfish? Whoever
Darius Rucker?
Yeah, Darius Rucker. I introduced Darius Rucker.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it was really cool. He wasn't the nicest guy, I got to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was kind of a jerk, actually. Just me. He was kind of a jerk. But it was kind of cool. 5,000 people, great crowd, great energy. And like these are people who are just starting their own business, moving up, and just some of the success stories there are incredible. Yeah. It's a 3-day event. I'm the MC, and then we usually do a fundraiser, and I think the number is, I got to get the number right, but I think it was almost $60,000 we raised.
Yeah,
for the food bank in Ohio.
You sent me that video from when you were there that day, and
it was fun.
You get paid to have that kind of fun. I mean, it's incredible.
That was fun, man.
No, so super cool. What else? Anything else going on?
Who we got out there? Got David Hubbard. What's happening? It's kind of chilled and it's okay.
There's John Sutton right there. Cool. Carl Bonnell. Brad Petty's there.
Jonathan Franks doesn't want to be on camera.
Who else we got out
Charlie Double E. What's happening? Just chilling.
I thought I saw Jonathan Shane Wilton on there.
I don't know.
So I met
Matt Casey's looking bored right now. I'm bored, Victor. I don't know. You guys got to get to the content, get to the numbers.
We're getting there.
You know, getting all impatient. Carl Bonnell looks like he's having a good time.
There's John Nichols. There's John Nichols.
Take your time. Take your time.
I had a chance to. I spent a day up there with the Canada team up there as well too when I was up there.
So you've been moving around with the teams a little bit, haven't you?
Like crazy. The reason we're doing this broadcast so late is really my fault and a little bit of your fault. Just trying to get the schedules together. It's not your fault. Yeah. Don't shake me off like that. So it's my fault. I hit it really hard. I spent an entire week with home team. Spent an entire week with the wildlife team. I spent a little bit of time in Canada and just really just getting out and riding with salespeople, which has been a blast.
Yeah. So who's your favorite group so far?
I don't have a favorite group, and I'm not allowed to have a favorite group. So stop that.
Let me see. Matt Casey says, "Chop chop. Let's get to it."
Amen. Let's get after it. So let's share some numbers.
Oh, by the way, Greg Pennington says, I was the unidentified winner from Fox. Right. Greg Pennington, who apparently can't even change the name on his handle. He shouldn't even get his quarters.
No. We're not, Victor, we're not going to be that way.
Just give it to somebody else.
We're not going to be that way.
In fact, give it to my man, Zach Z, double Z himself. Just give it to Zach.
No,
I like Zach.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so let's get to some numbers. Again, we're wrapping up we're going to talk about May's results at the end of June, which doesn't make any sense, but we'll get this date settled in for next month in mid-month, more on the regular cadence. But for the month of May, the residential sales in the Rollins brands, $87 million. Victor, a 10.2% year-over-year increase.
Nice.
For the year to date, through the first 5 months of the year, $390 million in residential revenue, 13.2% increase. Crazy smoking. Had a little bit of a dip in commercial revenue in the month of May. 6.2% increase, $48 million. Year to date, it's $223 million at 9.3, so really close to, I'm going to round up and call that double digits as well. Really slated on the termite side in May, an 18% year-over-year increase, $28 million. And then year to date, $131 million, 14.5% termite increase. Roll it all together, the Rollins brands for the first 5 months of the year, $744 million in revenue, a 12% year-over-year increase.
Amazing.
Just clocking it.
Amazing.
Just clocking it. And, Tim Tarantella was just in here, and they're struggling a bit on the Orkin side. So this is a good thing that's happening, that the brands are kind of picking up the pieces, because we take turns. We're all partners, right? We're the Rollins way together. And it's just outstanding. So just shout out to what y'all are doing out there. It's been, you don't see these numbers, right?
No.
We talk about that. Maybe we talk too much about that, but we should.
Well, the thing is, I keep, like, in the last month, I've spoken to about 3 different companies, and you just don't see these numbers, Ed. And I think, I want to remind people, this is my message to you, is that it's like Rollins is in it. You know what I mean? And you're riding a great wave right now, and the numbers just keep getting better year over year. And I think it's sad if you don't appreciate how good things are and the opportunity you're currently in. I think it's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's probably maybe my biggest takeaway as I've traveled around for, I guess 6 months. Yeah. Visiting the different brands and the different operations, is that I think their value props in each of these brands are so unique. Yeah. That they've got an edge over all their competitors, number one. And number two, the cultures that exist in all these other brands are phenomenal. And I think what I've been trying to share as I travel around, particularly like the home team and the wildlife teams that I spent so much time with this past month, is that it's like you're living in greatness, but you're in it so you don't recognize it, right? Like you're just amongst it, and it's how you are. And it's almost like you said, like these... we're 12% double-digit increase. Like, I'm kind of
we're yawning at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, these are great numbers.
Yeah.
Like some of these other companies I talk to, Ed, it's like they're just trying to stay on par from last year.
Yeah.
It's like, they consider that a win.
Yeah.
And then you guys keep knocking the double digits every month. And I think the great salesman's lament often is, it isn't until after it's all over.
Yeah.
Who knows how many years that's going to be that you realize, those are some good years.
That was a heck of a run.
It's a heck of a run.
Yeah.
Should have taken advantage of that. So I'm just saying, take advantage of the run.
Yeah, amen.
It's a great run you guys are on.
It's, I guess that is my takeaway.
And let's big up to management here because, they brought all these different companies in and they've kind of let them run in a semi-autonomous way that hasn't damaged the individual brands. And to bring all these brands together, as you said, you got some new brands who are kind of maybe picking up the slack for the Rollins people. It's a win-win.
Yeah, and the way that it's structured, I always scratched my head in the beginning when we started bringing these brands on.
What the hell you doing?
Why aren't we organizing them, But when you get out and you live it and you see it, they all have such unique value props in their markets that we'd be crazy. And I think
you were questioning Jerry, weren't you?
No, I was not questioning Jerry. Don't you go.
You were questioning the CEO of the company.
Moving on. In addition to the great company-wide Rollins brand performance, we've got some great individual numbers, and we should roll the tape.
Roll it. Great numbers.
Pretty stellar, huh? Pretty stellar.
Pretty stellar.
Let's start out. I'll take the first stab at it. Orkin Canada, I got to connect with an old friend last Monday up in Canada with Greg Adam, who's been up there. I've known him for years.
Have I met him? I don't think I've met him.
No, he's just been a perennial leader in sales up there. And I think that he ended up number one in June because I went up there and coached him up.
You helped him?
I coached him up.
Go ahead, take the credit.
So Greg, I'm taking all your credit, brother.
By the way, so I've seen I'm starting to recognize some of these names. So Nadia.
She's killing it.
Spedalieri. By the way, Nadia, phonetically spelled, sound that out for me. And then also Adriano Scioppa.
Yeah, that Greg told me about these two when we were sitting up there. So I met with 3 or 4 of the reps in there. And I don't know which one it is, but a couple of them I think came from an acquisition that Orkin Canada made, and have really cracked the code on RFPs. Kind of gave them some science to where, they're better, and they were raving about it. So if anybody can fill in some blanks on that, throw those in there certainly. But
Antoine Landry says I'm out of Lafayette, Louisiana by way of not Harrisburg. I don't know why.
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to take that up with your friend Corey. So obviously that's a little typo on Antoine, so we apologize. You take Iowa. I'll take a shot at Iowa.
You got Dan Duffy, Manuel Avina out of California.
That's IFC. That's the fumigation group. So I saw Steve Romero on the call earlier, so that's just outstanding.
Tommy Hughes. Love it.
Just crazy numbers, right? Dan Duffy, $151,000. That's a separator.
When you look at the person who's second, which is, Manuel, it's like, oh my God, you're like looking at, that's a big difference.
That's a double. Yeah.
That's
I don't know what it was. Maybe somebody can throw it in the chat what Dan clocked there.
What did Dan Double D do?
There you go. There's John Nichols filling in on that.
John Nichols says, yup. Nadia came way of an acquisition, and she is an RFP wizard.
Maybe we get her on here instead of me and you talking about how to crank
Nadia,
these
why don't
RFPs.
you come on the show? We'll just listen to you.
We'll get her down we'll get her down from Canada.
Let some experience talk.
The Fox team, again, a relatively new commercial operation, right? I mean, less than a year, I think, John.
Paul
right?
Weitzel's is Weitzel?
He's always there,
Yep.
he picked. He's a good picker, right? I mean, he picked the Stanley Cup and all that too. So outstanding numbers there. Guillermo Padilla, the old Orkin guy out there at. He's there. I don't know if Guillermo's on the chat or not. Then going to Clark. I mean, look at 119,000 in Clark with Marcos Hernandez, and then you take the Northwest folks.
Yeah, Clint Dodds, Drew Perkins, Joshua Schmutzer. But yeah, these guys are coming up.
Blake Sutherland, he's always on that list. Keith Cash.
Guillermo says he's on the list. Guillermo,
there you go.
What's happening?
There you go.
Come on, Guillermo, 27,000, 28. You can do better, Guillermo.
Pat Porcello's making sly comments because my son is a Luka Modric fan.
Who?
I don't know what he means by all the guy from Croatia. That is like one of the greatest middle backers ever. But Pat,
do you know what a middle backer is?
I do. Only because of my son.
Okay.
And the Croatian that was sitting next to us.
Okay. And the
boxing them cigarettes.
Boxing the cigarettes, yeah.
But no, big shout out to Pat Porcello. I announced it on the residential broadcast, but Pat got named president of IWEL, which is super cool. Dennis Cohn moved up to kind of work on Stanford's team. And Pat got the nod. And
did he got the nod?
He got the nod.
Bring in Pat.
They called in the right-hander.
All right. He says it means you're staying, Ed.
No, it does not mean I'm staying, Pat.
Way to go, Ed.
No.
By the way, I'd like to announce right here formally that Ed will be joining us next year as well.
Victor wants me to stay, too. Yep. All right, so let's move on to some content.
All right. We do rack, by the way.
Well, they don't. These guys don't do rack.
At all?
No. They mess around with it. So riding around, and it was one of my ride-alongs with Dustin Pike, and he referenced something that it was a very, very old coach's corner that I did at Orkin.
Yep.
I think it was like 10 years old. And it was just piggybacking off your Mount Nut analogy that we've shared across for many times. And Dustin told me that hit him like a ton of bricks because he said I wasn't creating enough urgency in my proposals and my presentations. And he said it really kind of clicked for me. Yeah. And with me riding with him for that day, he threw up $150,000 last month. So I'm going to take credit for all that and give you a little bit. But when I thought about that, I think about urgency and I think about this team.
Right.
Commercial, right? Yep. They're in the gap replacement takeaway business, right? They're taking business away from folks that have companies that they've had for years, maybe entrenched, and they've got to take them away. And most of the time, they're asking for more money. Right. So it's a difficult thing to create the urgency because they don't get a lot of inbound leads. People don't call up and say, I got termites for the first time in my house. So it's a difficult thing on how to create urgency. And I just want, this is, of all the things that you've brought to the table in the last 12 or 13 years of working together, blocking objections, I think, is number one. I think that's the best piece. But I would put this one in a top 5 of things that you share, and it's the Mount Nut. So I've asked Victor to kind of talk about Mount Nut, and I'll just throw a couple pieces in to add on top of it.
All right. So years ago, I was putting together a sales training program, and people were always asking me, why don't people buy? If you've listened to my Sales Influence podcast, the subtitle of that is Finding the Why and How People Buy. So I'm always thought, why do people buy? Why do they make buying decisions? If you understand that, you don't have to sell. You just have to understand how they buy. And there's 5 reasons, let me flip this now, that they don't buy or won't buy. And if we could address those 5 reasons, we're more likely to close a deal. So I came up with this acronym because I was listing things out, and I came up with 5 things. And so you can remember it, I came up with Mount Nut. First reason is people don't buy because of money. Second is time. Third is a need. Next is urgency and trust. And I think the 2 big ones are usually urgency and trust in this business. It's how do you create the urgency, but I would put trust as a primary. Because once you build trust, then you can create easier urgency, if I can say it that way, Ed.
Yeah, and I think just touching back on the money and the time, you'll get the time if you're persistent enough. The money could be a budget thing, right? It could be budget commercially, right?
Yeah.
They might have X to spend and you need X plus, right? So you work your way through that. But I think the building the trust, becoming that subject matter expert. Let's dive into that a little bit. I think that's where I want to focus on urgency, but dive into that a little deeper.
So let's go through them all real quickly, because it's important. Like on the money piece is like, do they have the budget? Right? So let's assume they have the budget. The second one is, do they have the time? If you have a good case to make of why you have a better service, which you do, then they'll make the time for you. The need is obvious. Of course, they need the services. And then urgency is what we're going to create. But the last part, the trust piece, is always, to me, the fundamental piece. Because there's 3 parts to building trust. It's really simple if you think about it. The first one is to empathize where the customer's at. Empathy. The second one is to educate them. Tell them things they don't know. Make them go, didn't think about that. I didn't know that. I didn't look at it that way. And the last one is to empower them with options. So if I know what you need, I think I understand your business, and then I can provide some education insight. Have you thought about this? Here's why this would help your business. Again, once you do that, then you're in a position to build that momentum. I call it that urgency momentum that we're going to talk about right now.
Yeah, and I think when I think about this, I think about, maybe I'll just kind of indict myself. I think about all the proposals that I'm still waiting for the customers to call back up in Youngstown, Ohio, saying, "Hey, we're ready to go ahead with that." Because I have this mindset that they're going to buy, right? I left them, and they're nodding their head like the little dog in the window. Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. And then they go radio silent or whatever they do. They just ghost me, and I never hear back from them.
Right.
Because ultimately, I didn't create the urgency to get that decision now. And when I say now, we know that if we walk out of a proposal, no matter who you are, you're the guy at the top of these charts, right? The Mac Daddy, the Mac Gal of all sales, that if you walk away after you make that formal presentation to that customer and they don't say yes, that the closure, I don't care if you're Zig Ziglar, the closure's coming down. The closure's coming down. So how do we influence that moment to create that urgency to get that decision today?
It's almost like you have to find a gap in their thinking in terms of what they're not thinking about. And it's how do you find different ways to kind of reframe it for them that they go, okay, I see why this is happening. Like in the business, in some of the business, I'm sure we have to take away business.
95% of what they're doing, they're
is
taking
take
it
away
away.
business. I would say there's 2 things going on. One is a sense of urgency, but I would tie that to, not including the mountain nut, is that sometimes the switchover is a little scary.
Yeah.
And our job is to reduce that anxiety of switching over. Because if I switch over and it goes sideways, that's a personal career choice, not a good one.
Absolutely.
Right? And sometimes we've talked about this, an imagined fear.
For sure.
If I swap this vendor for this vendor, am I going to regret it? And our job is to make that easier for them.
Yeah, if you think about it, in your discovery and your inspection, you've uncovered a whole bunch of stuff that kind of slants the deck your way. But obviously, if they didn't say yes, you didn't slant it enough your way, right? You didn't have enough, I guess, on a scale. You didn't push the scales over to where they're going to say yes, and they're just kind of like right here. They're teeter-totter, and so they're in that no man's land to where, again, if you leave, you ain't getting the business, honey. What I mean? Very, very rare, right? I mean, that it's going to happen. So how do you influence that? And I think we have to be very careful. And this is one that just kind of grinds me, because I've been out with salespeople here recently, like, the last 3 months, where we try to create urgency and it comes across as so phony and so fake and so salesy. It's just hokey, right? If we can do business today, can we do it? It's just a bunch of BS, right? In my mind. You can't sell that way anymore.
No, not today, in today's market. I think we've talked about how the market's changed. More specifically with the large language models like ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, Perplexity, all these language models. And I think I shared this on the last broadcast we did, that they've done studies now. Somebody goes to Google versus somebody going through a large language model. If they're going more through a large language model, and you're closing more business through a large language model. So they're going to ChatGPT instead of going to Google and saying, "Hey, I'm looking for this type of service." They're now going to ChatGPT, say, "Hey, I'm looking for this type of service. Rank these in the order of for the things I need, and then pull." And what they'll do is they'll pull the ratings, for example, Google reviews, Yelp reviews, whatever reviews, all that stuff. And now the buyer is more informed than ever. Ed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you think about that, I mean, I got a ChatGPT. I got a 4,000 square foot restaurant. I'm dealing with a little bit of roaches. I got a problem. I had the same company. Boom. What should I do? How much should I pay? What should I expect to pay? So you got to be cognizant of that. I think the other thing about urgency too is we got to start building it earlier. Yeah. You can't wait till this big crescendo at the end and lay this master killer close on them that they're going to sign up, right? You got to start building it. I mean, as much as whether it's just, even if it's on the phone, you got to be different. You got to be separating yourself. They're like, oh, okay. Yeah. And you got to create urgency. Oh man, let me get there. Right. Not I'll get there tomorrow. I can drop everything and come see you right now. Right. So you're kind of creating that. And then even on your walkarounds and your discovery, you open up a bait station, you look underneath 3-compartment sink. We got to fix that. Yep. Not you might want to fix that. we got to fix that, right?
That's a problem.
So you create that urgency as you're doing all your steps. It can't be just something that happens at the end.
I think for example, I sell sales training, right? That's my thing. And so when I'm talking to clients sometimes when they call me, it's all inbound call. Victor, we'd like to hire you to come train our salespeople. We're thinking about you and a bunch of others, right? And so I start asking a bunch of questions. And then I start asking questions almost like looking at different areas of a facility. I start, well, tell me about this. And then I find that they're struggling with that particular thing. And then they go, oh, and I keep digging. And they start realizing it's a bigger problem than they thought.
Yeah.
I said, because if this is not happening, that means this must be happening. And then the close rates must be here. So you're losing business, you're leaving a lot, I do that whole thing. And then that's the first wave. Then the second is, well, let me ask you about the prospecting side. Yeah. And then I start building that. Yeah. And it's almost the same way that by the time I get to the end of the conversation towards the end, I said, okay, I've built enough urgency momentum, like, oh, snap moments, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. That they go, okay, I think we want to hire you. It's the same thing here. The more we can do an inspection, it goes, have you looked at that? Have you thought about that? Why haven't you looked at that? Why did you, that whole thing?
Absolutely.
What would you add to that? How would you spin that?
I think, again, it comes down to making sure you're doing that on the inspection, walking through it, and just the discovery questions that you ask, teeing up that urgency.
Yes.
Because, again, if you think about it, you've probably worked your tail off to get an audience with them, right? They didn't call you for the most part.
Yep.
For most of these folks, they're not getting inbound calls. They're out there creating these opportunities. They get that chance to get in there, dance, kick the tires. They have to really create real separation, again, to get that scale balance to where they say, okay, we're going to pay more money, and we're going to go through all this pain in the ass it is to change vendors to go with you. And again,
to your point, because your analogy is really beautiful. That is, if they see a small separation between, I'll just say that, they're not going to do anything.
Not enough.
But as soon as you start, I guess, amplifying that, adding magnitude to that, have you thought about this? And all of a sudden, they start going, okay, this is, now you can just almost feel the shift in the conversation.
And I think it's even having conversations with customers about, getting ahead of fly season. Don't cover it now.
Yeah, let's do it now.
Let's get ahead of that now before that becomes a problem, and then we got to react to that, right? Sharing that kind of stuff with them. We're coming up on rodent season. It's going to get cold. Let's get ahead of that now.
Yeah.
And again, position yourself different that they're going to spend that money right now and not wait.
Well, you said earlier, like the example you gave about, this is a problem. No, we got to fix this. Yeah. There's a difference in language. Yeah. And the thing is, if you're the subject matter expert walking in the facility, act like one. In other words, saying, don't say, this is a problem. I think we should look at that. No, not we should look at it. I don't think we should look at it. That's a problem. We need to fix that. It's almost like it's your business. And I think when you sell with that ethos, that energy, that people go, okay, Jesus, I think this guy cares more about my business than I do.
And isn't it really what it comes down to,
That's
right?
what you want.
They got to know that you're that partner that they want. And I think the other thing too, when we get into these situations, we got to make them, we got to open their lens up. And I have always commercially used my phone. Today, Victor, everybody is a videographer. Do you want to get splashed all over the news like Chipotle did in Dallas, Texas, with the mouse running through there that went viral? That quite frankly got Orkin all the Chipotle business, folks, the Greyhound bus business that we got. And I would tell people this: you don't want this to happen. You can't afford to let that guy or that gal keep doing your service, because we've discovered a couple of things. Those bait stations like that. What if somebody? Everybody has one of these things. What if they? And again, not scare tactics, but just realism that this could happen to you. Yeah. And if it's not your story, make it your story. Yeah. The Chipotle thing is true. They went viral in Dallas, Texas, in the Chipotle, and they called us, and now we have more than half of the Chipotle business at Orkin. Yeah. Greyhound bus had roaches coming out of one of the overheads. Orkin has done every Greyhound bus for probably the last 12 years. And why we got called in there, and why we made that presentation, I was in the room in Dallas when we closed the deal. Yeah. They said they can't afford this to happen again. They already have a bad reputation.
Yeah. By the way, here's a way of, we haven't talked about this, but here's a way of using, let's say, a chat GPT to your advantage. So I wanted to highlight, I have a new book coming out about don't discount, right? And I knew what the answer was going to be, but I said, look, and I was talking to the guy about me possibly training. I said, do your salespeople realize the impact of a discount on profitability? He's like, what do you mean? He says, there's an equation for this. He says, in fact, I won't give it to you. I'll let ChatGPT do it. And I said, what is the impact of a 5% discount on a product with only a profit margin or gross margin of X? And please run that out all the way to 50 to 70% margins. And it ran the whole calculation for me. And the guy had that moment like, oh, snap. how would we use this in pest control? Like, remember we talked about sometimes our job to create urgency is to move them into the future mentally. Yeah. I said, and I'm just saying, we can come up with strategies for this, but I would use ChatGPT in this way. In front of the buyer, I said, look, let's ask ChatGPT, what happens over the next 2 years if you don't do X to fill this problem or solve this problem? And again, do this before you show it to the customer so you know what the answer is going to be. But you'll see that ChatGPT says, if this does happen, this is possible, this. And now it's not you saying it. Yeah. It's the large language model. And I'm thinking there's a shift, and people now, I don't say defaulting to believing the machine. Sure. But there is a tendency to want to believe the machine over the salesperson.
No doubt.
Something to think about that. We should start using ChatGPT to help us sell.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing you can do to kind of create urgency is I don't understand why we ever put out a commercial bid that doesn't have a drop dead date on it with pricing. Like, you know, this, how long is it good for? 30 days. 30 days. 15 days. Yeah. You know, at the end of this month, the prices could go up. Yeah. Using that as
I totally agree
leverage,
with that. I totally agree with that.
And pulling it away and picking up the phone and saying, hey, Victor, I'm calling you back because, you know, prices are going up tomorrow. Yeah. You know, I'm giving you one last shot to get this price that we had.
And by the way, as you always say, always have a reason to call back. I think that's one of your things, right? Yeah. And so if one of the reasons to call back is because let's say the large language, the contract says, hey, your contract's almost up. I'm calling you because we have 2 days remaining on this. It gives you a reason to call back. I want you to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, and Jeremy Miner, I'm not a fan of his, right? Because I think he's copied all your crap. Yep. But he's on this thing right now. Don't pick up the phone. Hey, I'm following up. Because that's horrible. Don't ever pick up the phone and call a customer and say, hey, I'm following up on that proposal. Have a reason to call. Hey, I know you're on the edge. I know you're on the fence. Here's what I did. I went to my boss. I went to bat for you. I got in with my boss, and before we even talk about what you're thinking about, let me tell you what he's able to do if we can get the work done in this coming month. Correct. He's going to shave 5 points off it. So having a reason to call, not just how you doing, just following up,
doesn't work.
You're not a pro. You're not a pro. What else?
By the way, Fox IP Phone says Claude AI is better. I would agree with you. Their current large language model is probably the best right now.
Today. Tomorrow, that could change.
Yeah, they do have the best model out now.
Yeah, and I know that's what you've leaned into. I'm still hung up with chat, but it's all I know. What else? Anybody else got any ideas in there?
Clark P says I sold a $639,000, $63,000 rack.
Who was that?
Claude P.
Oh, cool.
Claude P. iPhone CY1Q349.
Is he trying to get a quarter zip? Awesome.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Awesome.
You can sell a rack, but you just can't edit your moniker. Okay.
Amen. So I think at the end of the day, urgency's got to be logical. It's got to be believable. It can't be at all hokey. People will see through that hokiness and that, that old sales schlepper stuff in a heartbeat.
Can I just because I want, I think it's Ken Bjork. If I didn't get it right, I'm sorry, Ken.
He's a killer.
He said, I'd like to tell my new clients that myself and other Princeton office will make this smooth transition. We're taking over your account. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Reduce that anxiety, and they're there for the new setup. I mean, that's what they want to hear. Amen. And if you can lay that, here's how it's going to work. Yep. Day 1, week 1, week 2, and that's what, believe it or not, that reduces anxiety.
Well, and that drives that trust way up, right? When they know that you're going to hold their hand through the whole process.
Big up, Ken. Way to go.
Ken's always on these lists too.
By the way, Tom's right. Tom Coco said they need to realize their exposure, then it's a higher risk to not change. So we talk about, return on investment, but there's also loss of inaction, the LOI. Loss of inaction is big. So
and it's big. It's big in their business.
Yes, it is.
Like I said, if they have a mouse run through their building and it gets on one of them review, they're toast, right?
Yep.
They're toast.
I agree.
They can't afford it. You can't afford to wait. You can't afford to give your other company another 30 days to clean this up.
Correct.
Give it to me. I got a money back guarantee. Give it to me, and trust me with that. You need to fire them. I mean, you just.
That man can sell.
Well, I mean, you just do. You just do. Or you walk by a really bad bait station and say, I don't know what you're doing, but I don't know who's going to be the next company in here. I'd sure love it to be me, but this company needs to be fired. Because that can't exist. Right. That can't exist in today's world.
I don't think. I know it's that attitude that buyers want.
Yeah, absolutely. They want help.
They want help.
Listen, you've worked so hard to get in there.
Yep.
If they didn't have any inclination of switching, they wouldn't let you in the door
in the first place.
They wouldn't let you in.
Great point.
Unless you're this master, silver-tongued devil that can get in any door. They're not letting you in if they don't have a little bit of interest in what you got to say.
Just a little bit of doubt, right? Just a little bit of doubt. That's all you need. Just a crack, a little foot in the door.
Anything else?
That's it.
gonna do it later, I'll do it next month is where sales go to die,
Yep.
right? They just go to die. So let's get out of here. We've pushed time, I'm sure. Just a little housekeeping. Man, hydrate. It's crazy, 95 down here. I don't know what it's going around the country, but make sure you're taking care of your technicians, the folks that are out there getting after these jobs and doing these big starts. The second half starts tomorrow. So we're in the second half of 2026. You've had a killer first half, and if the first half personally hasn't gone the way you want it to, man, there's certainly time to turn this thing around,
Yep.
right? You know, you think about President's Club, you're halfway through President's Club. So I know I see a bunch of names on this list and a bunch of pictures. A lot of folks are President's Club winners. You got a chance to catch it up. You can make up any ground you need to make up. And I guess last and probably most, I appreciate the daylights out of everything you've done and everything you're doing every day to get out there and get after it. Have an incredible 250th anniversary.
Happy birthday, America.
Happy birthday, America. Stay safe. Don't be one of them clowns that blows their fingers off, blowing off fireworks for the kids. And certainly keep your kids safe. You know what? You're drinking and driving and all that kind of fun stuff. So
all right.
Anything else?
That's it.
Let's get out of here.
Have fun,
Appreciate
guys.
you.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.